All right, glad you're here for this Bible class portion. Thinking about the most frequently used words in the Bible as we go letter by letter. And we are on letter I. What word in the Bible appears most than any other that starts with the letter I? Not many I words. Not idle, it's Israel. Yeah, Israel. And that makes sense, especially as much as the Old Testament gives us descriptions of them. The prophets talk a lot about them, giving prophecies concerning the nation of Israel. And so a lot that we could unpack here and to think about this topic. Maybe I'll share some things that might be just maybe more hot topic, current events than we will a whole lot of Bible study. I hope that's okay. We're certainly going to look at the Bible, especially at the end of our lesson. But there's a lot in the world, a lot in politics that's being talked about Israel. And why is that the case? Why is there always wars and turmoil? And I know that recently some of those peace treaties have been signed, hostages have been released. Why does all that take place? Seems like every few years things like that goes on. What's the deal with that? And so, of course, that's a subject we could talk for a long time about, but maybe for 30, 40 minutes, might share with us some history and some things that will help us as we try to navigate that in our life, in politics, and also our faith. Because that's the crossover. That's why Israel gets a whole lot of attention in politics and in discussions on Facebook, is because a lot of people associate this nation of Israel in our world today as the same Israel of the Bible. Those are two different things. And we'll talk about that as we go. Introducing the class like we always do. The word is mentioned in 34 of the 39 Old Testament, 13 of the 27 New Testament books. It appears most in the book of Ezekiel. And it's only used in the New Testament a handful of times. The book of Acts mentions it most. But in the New Testament, you only find 78 uses of the word Israel, which means almost 2,300 times it's used, it's Old Testament language. And so we see this as a very Old Testament topic, thinking about the people and thinking about the land that God's giving them. But that land is not called Israel in the Bible. That land is called Canaan. And they will go in and set up the nation of Israel. But even then, when you think about the nation of Israel, it's always talking about people rather than talking about places. And so under the New Covenant, we're not thinking about Israel. We are a spiritual Israel in the church, but it's not about blood. We need to begin by thinking about who he was, because Israel is a person before it's anything else. You know the story of Jacob, probably, to some extent. Jacob would be the grandson of Abraham, the son of Isaac. From Jacob will come 12 sons, 12 tribes that will develop. And so you have this guy, Jacob. His name means deceiver or supplanter. But as he grows and matures and throughout his life, he has an interaction with God. And God changes his name. No longer are you going to be called deceiver. No longer is your name Jacob, but your name is now Israel, one who strives with God or one who struggles with God. And so that is where this name Israel comes from. It's not just we pick this random name to give a group of people. When we think about Israel, we're thinking about people that came from Jacob, ultimately, and then from Jacob also Isaac and Abraham. But that's what Israel means before it means anything else, is it comes from a person who is Jacob. Israel as a nation, as we think of it, has only existed since 1948. Israel as a people has existed since the time of Genesis, in which God tells Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're going to have this people. And so as you read about Israel in the Bible, don't think about a place on the map. Think about a people. There's a lot of times that Israel is a nation even when they're not in that spot on the map where we think Israel is. There's times that they're in Egypt and they're still Israel, because Israel as a people, it's not a place. Israel as a place is our world, our language, our maps. Pull up Google Earth and you can find Israel on the map. It's not the case in the Bible. Sure, they possessed a portion of land, but they were still Israel when they weren't in that part of land either. So that's important to understand as we begin this discussion. Here's some examples of that. Exodus chapter 1 verse 7, the people of Israel were fruitful and increased greatly. They multiplied and grew exceedingly strong, and the land was filled with them. That's Egypt. But there are people still called Israel. Joshua chapter 1, talks about this idea of the people of Israel. Notice Isaiah 1, "Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. Children I have reared and brought up, but they have rebelled against me. The ox knows its owner, the donkey its master's crib, but Israel does not know me. My people do not understand." You see the correlation between Israel and people? A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, offspring of evildoers, children who deal corruptly. And so even as the prophets talk about Israel, they're not talking about cities and houses and pieces of property. They're talking about a people. And that's the problem with Israel. Maybe if it's summed up is in Isaiah chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. That God loves them and God cares for them and God has done so much for this people, yet they have rebelled against Him. That was true in the days of Moses, true in the days